Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to continue to have a look at the latest on the very cold weather that we do have that is going to dominate the rest of this week. We are likely to see snow in places, and we have now got multiple yellow weather warnings issued for snow and ice, especially further northwards and eastwards. I do think we could see warnings elsewhere, but at this stage the certainty with any other areas of snow is very low, as a lot of the models are chopping and changing at this stage. So have a look at the latest from the live radar. We'll go through the weather warnings, looking at those snow warnings, the first snow warnings of the season, and then we'll have a look at some of the various precipitation charts, and then we'll have a look at the longer range as well, as the longer range continues to look very interesting. Majority of runs are trending us back towards average conditions, with a westerly flow returning in around a week's time. The GFS, though, throwing a spanner in the works, going for a beast from the east type scenario. So complete opposites there from the longer range charts. So do check out the second half of the video if you're interested in seeing that as we progress into early December. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe, and remember to follow me on Twitter as well. The link's in the description. Now, for the last few hours or so, the coldest air is now starting to filter back in, and you can see this with the increased amount of showers we're seeing out towards the east, as we've got a bit of a disturbance out in the North Sea that is going to be throwing these showers inland, and we have got a snow and ice warning issued for some of these showers through this evening. You can see for much of Scotland now, these showers are falling as snow inland, even to low-lying areas, as the very cold air does develop and move in. These showers that are just off the coast of northeast England will be moving in. Again, uncertain how intense they do remain, but if they stay as beefy as they're looking at this stage, you could see even a few centimetres of snow in a few spots, and that is why we already have a yellow warning issued. Now, further westwards, we do have some precipitation. Some of this could be a bit of a wintry mix, but it is in slightly milder airs. That colder air is really in the east, pushing westwards at this stage. So at the moment, a bit of a wintry mix there, but who knows what could happen through the rest of this evening with some of these showers. Now remember, we are looking quite likely to see falling snow in many areas. It's accumulating snow is going to be a lot more difficult to come by, as again, that depends on intensity and ground temperatures, which right now, ground temperatures are not particularly cold at all. Remember, we've had maybe a couple of frosts in a few areas, so really ground temperatures are still above freezing. So accumulating snow will be very difficult in the next sort of day or two. Maybe towards the weekend becomes more of a possibility. But at the same time, the showers from the east will probably subside a bit. But then we do bring the risk of some disturbances coming in from the north and the west, and we'll look at that, as I said, in a minute. But you can see showers now pushing in as that very cold air does slowly filter in from the east. You can see temperatures widely now dropping down towards freezing, especially the further northwards and eastwards you go. Temperatures are around the freezing point right as I'm talking, around 7:30, and we can see that with those lighter blues indicating, as I said, temperatures down towards the freezing point. And we are really not going to see temperatures rise all too much tomorrow, maybe 3 or 4 degrees at best in places, and then by Friday, Saturday, Sunday, perhaps not even getting much above 1 or 2 in places. Now, if you go over to the weather warnings, you can see through the rest of today we've got 2 snow and ice warnings. We've got this main warning issued across northern Scotland into all the Northern Isles. It started at 5 p.m. and expires at 11 a.m. tomorrow. Icy patches and snow are possible and may lead to hazardous conditions through Tuesday evening, overnight until Wednesday mornings. For all those snow showers we just saw on the live radar at the moment, again, you can see they're not too intense and not too widespread, but where they do occur, we can see here 1 to 3 centimetres of snow possible. Higher routes can even see 5 centimetres. Very likely, but lower end of the impact matrix. So we're going to see showers. They're just not likely to be too impactful. And then we've got this sort of slither of a snow and ice warning along the northeast coast of England here. And again, it's the same same connection to this warning. Well, again, we have from 5 p.m. today until 11 a.m. tomorrow. And again, it's for those showers drifting in off the North Sea coast. Again, the showers are going to lose their intensity as they move inland, but this immediate coastal area around sort of 10, 20, 30 miles from the coast could see, again, a few centimetres of snow in places. Now, as we progress into Wednesday, the warnings become a little bit more widespread. Now, we've got this other warning issued pretty much for the whole of northern and eastern Scotland, down the east coast, all the way down into parts of northeast England. And again, from 5 p.m. tomorrow until 11 a.m. on Thursday. So pretty much just replacing the warning that we have at the moment. Showers falling as snow inland will lead to icy patches and hazardous conditions. Again, could see 1 or 2 centimetres, maybe as high as 5 centimetres. High likelihood, lower end of the impact matrix. And then finally into Thursday, that snow warning does continue. So you see at this stage nothing too intense, as again it is mainly for convective showers, but nevertheless the first snow warnings issued of the season, and again could this be disruptive in places. Snow is possible elsewhere, especially towards sort of East Anglia, perhaps the East Midlands, or even into the southeast. A few isolated showers are possible, but again not expecting any accumulations in the next couple of days. The weekend, things does start to look a little bit more interesting, and we'll have a look at that now. So do go over to the latest UKV and see what that is showing over the next 5 days. Now you can see through the rest of this evening those showers will continue to move in from the east. Again, mainly impacting coastal areas, or sort of, I said that sort of 10, 20, 30 miles from the coast, especially across northeast England there, and eastern Scotland. Again, I wouldn't be surprised to see a few centimetres of snow in places tomorrow morning, and seeing some images circulating of some temporary accumulations. As we progress beyond that through into Wednesday afternoon, those showers do continue, especially for parts of Scotland, but they do die out elsewhere. But it's another really cold but sunny day for many through Wednesday evening. Those showers do continue to pile in though for northeast England and eastern Scotland. Again, not too heavy, perhaps even some across parts of the Republic of Ireland, and then we start to see perhaps some of that persistent precipitation moving into the far southwest and far south coast. Again, there could be some snow over the higher ground in these areas. As we progress beyond Thursday afternoon into the evening, showers continue to move in from the northeast coast, and again, could see showers once again in southwest England. And then as we progress into Friday, those showers continue, and we actually see the wind veer more of a easterly. And what that will do is mean showers could come in more for the southeast and for East Anglia, and you can see there are a few snow showers near the Thames in towards London. Again, not expecting anything major, but could see falling snow here. Into the weekend, showers continue to impact the east coast, but they should slowly start to lose their intensity into Saturday and Sunday, but actually could see a period of more widespread shower activity there through early hours of Saturday, far eastern areas. You see those showers a little bit more intense, a little bit more widespread, and coming slightly further inland. Again, need to keep an eye on that. That could be a disturbance developing and cropping up at very short notice. Remember, there's still 3+ days away, so things at this time scale can change very, very quickly when we're looking at small disturbances. As we head into Saturday, those showers do slowly lose their intensity, and then as we look out to the west, we do see perhaps some more cloud building and more precipitation building, and this bumps into the cold air, sliding from the northwest to southeast. We could see more persistent snow across England and Wales, and some of the runs do have accumulations falling for parts of the Midlands, Wales, or even southern England through Sunday into Monday. But timings with this very uncertain. Some runs have it coming through on Sunday morning, UKV here Sunday evening, other runs not developing anything at all, just highlighting the uncertainty we do have over the next 5 days. Now it is fueled by slightly milder air, but you can see the cold air is pretty much locked in, and it is moving in as we speak, and it's just going to be locked in through the rest of this working week, all the way into the weekend, before slowly starting to lose its strength, but still holding on probably until at least Monday, Tuesday next week, maybe even longer than that. Now, if you look at the max temperatures tonight, temperatures widely falling down towards the freezing point. Again, temperatures here holding above freezing the far south and southwest, but I do suspect UKV underdoing this a little bit. Those temperatures will be a bit colder than that, again, due to cloud amounts. But where we see clear skies, widely below freezing. Tomorrow afternoon, not getting much above freezing in some spots, only 0 to 2 degrees across much of central, eastern and northern parts. The far south and southwest, maybe 6 or 7 degrees. Through Wednesday night, another widespread frost, so really freezing the ground. So as I said, it does take a couple of days at least for the ground temperatures to cool down, maybe even more this early in the season. And that's why I said accumulating snow is probably pretty difficult to come by unless we do have proper persistent snow here, which isn't looking likely in the next few days at least. As we progress into Thursday afternoon, temperatures once again not rising much above freezing in many areas. Again, 0 to maybe 3 degrees in the southwest here, not getting much above freezing with that very strong easterly wind. Through Thursday night into Friday, again, widely below freezing, so another very cold night. And as we start the first day of December again, many areas struggling to get above freezing, 0 to 3 degrees looking likely, maybe a 4 or 5 in a few isolated spots. And then into the weekend, things are looking even colder through into Saturday morning. Interestingly, in the Far East, temperatures are staying around freezing, 0 or 1 degree, and that's because there's thicker cloud and potentially more wintry showers. Further westward, with the clearer skies, widely -5, -6, maybe even a -12 there across the highlands of Scotland. And then as we progress into Saturday, again, temperatures are hardly going to go freezing in many areas, maybe even -1 to -6 degrees there across Scotland. And then into Sunday, again, a widespread frost developing, and Sunday afternoon again, not getting much above freezing in many areas, but you can see slightly milder air pushing in, again bringing the risk of more persistent snow, but also, as I said, milder air, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. So you can see the UKV really is deepening the cold. Again, it was a lot more pessimistic with the cold a couple of days ago. Now we are definitely seeing more colder weather coming in, and those temperatures are a lot lower than was just showing even yesterday or the day before, as we are now getting into sort of the prime time frame for more accurate temperatures in the next few days. Now, if you do have a look at the latest R pairs to see what that is showing in terms of precipitation, you can see as we progress into Wednesday morning, again, those showers coming in from the Far East. Again, could be some temporary accumulations in places. Through Wednesday in the day, again, showers pushing in. And then as we head into Thursday, we could see that precipitation just nudge into the far southwest. And again, could see some snow, especially over higher routes, down across the moors there, across southwest England. Elsewhere, showers continue to come in from the northeast, and as we progress into Thursday, those showers more veer from an easterly direction that could again bring into play East Anglia and the southeast of England. As we head into Friday afternoon and Saturday, we do see perhaps some more snow showers for parts of Wales there, as the wind does veer slightly differently and it allows more convection to take place there in the Irish Sea. Again, need to keep an eye on that. And then as we head into the weekend, those snow showers continue to develop, then watch the wind direction slowly shift and more precipitation gather in from the west. And that, again, could bring some excitement into Sunday, but at this stage, still low certainty with that. If we finally compare to the Icon run, and then we'll have a look at the ECMWF, again, snow showers packing in from the east through this evening, continue to look pretty cold and pretty snowy in places. Showers actually drifting quite far inland from the Icon, so pretty bullish with those snow showers this evening. And then into Thursday, we start to see that precipitation perhaps nudge into the far southwest again, could give a few centimetres over higher routes. And then as we progress into Friday, again, snow showers coming in perhaps even for the east there, southeast potentially, before eventually into the weekend we start to see the wind direction slightly shift, and then we see that precipitation further westwards, and again could give some persistent snow through Sunday. But again, we'll have to keep a very close eye on it, as at this stage we're not looking, it's not looking any consistency really between the models, so we can't really talk about it all too much. Now finally, for the precipitation charts, if we look at the latest ECMWF, again, you can see snow showers coming in from the east over the coming hours. As we progress through Thursday, again, potentially some wintriness in the far southwest as we see that precipitation bump into the colder air, but generally shifting away. Snow showers continue to move in, and again, could see a period across the southeast there through Friday. Again, keep a close eye on that. Again, any streamers, anything like that could bring local accumulations, especially as we progress later this week. The ground is going to freeze, so it does mean more favourable conditions for settling snow. As we progress into the weekend, look out to the west. We see that low pressure system develop, that disturbance, and actually does bring some heavier snowfall across parts of the Midlands. Northern England, we'd be looking at least 3 to 5 centimetres of snow there. Again, where it tracks would mean further rain could be seen southwards, which isn't good if you want some snow further southwards. But we are seeing some very varied tracks of this low pressure system. So again, we want to keep a very close eye on. Beyond that, with the ECMWF, which we'll actually have a look at on the pressure charts in a minute, we do eventually start to see lower pressure coming off the Atlantic, and by sort of Wednesday, Thursday time, perhaps a transient snow event before eventually seeing rain coming in from the west as westerly winds do return. But, as I said, the GFS is a little bit off its rocker today. The 12 o'clock run does produce kind of a beat from the east scenario in the longer term, pretty ridiculous conditions. And if we do run through it, again, I must say it is an outlier, a major outlier, as we'll see in the ensembles in a minute. But nevertheless, with all outliers, we always say you can't discount them, but I do think it is pretty unlikely to come off. There is the chance we do see cold weather develop again into December, but majority of runs have at least a few days of milder or average temperatures as we head into next week and the following weekend. See the easterly winds continue, eventually getting cut off through the weekend, but that's when we could see disturbances develop within the flow, and then eventually westerly winds try to push back in by early next week, perhaps getting a milder air mass in for a time for the high pressure ridges up towards Iceland. We start to pull in bitterly cold easterly winds, and we see a flat easterly develop, very similar to the beast from the east with very low heights over the top of us, very strong easterly winds, and a bitterly cold air mass. Again, if we do actually run it back and have a look at the raw air mass there, look at that, the -10 isotherm moving in, freezing cold, the potential equivalent temperature, those darker purples moving in, and if we look at the temperature deviation, you can see many areas covered by the 10 to 12 degrees below average. So it would be freezing cold if that came off. Windy temperatures below freezing in the day. In fact, if we even had a look at this, look at that, daytime temperatures at midday widely down towards -1 or lower, dew points down towards -9 or 10 in places, absolutely freezing. And if we dare look at the snow depth charts, we are seeing snowfall pretty widely. Again, would be uncertain exactly how much we'd see. Again, it's convective based, but the potential for widespread snow in this sort of scenario. But again, I'll emphasise it is an outlier within the 12 o'clock runs. If we have a look at the GM run, again, we do see very similar over the next week. Easterly winds, generally cold and potentially snowy at times. And then towards next Wednesday, we see low pressure coming off the Atlantic. Blocking doesn't disappear to our north, but it does position itself so that we do see pretty stormy weather, in fact, here. So it goes from very cold and wintry to potentially very stormy by next Friday. Again, I think this is on the milder and very unsettled end of the ensembles, but regardless, you cannot discount it, similar to the GFS. I think the overall sort of spectrum from the ensembles is for a more westerly flow to move back in. Average temperatures, maybe slightly above average temperatures, with more precipitation and stronger winds, but nowhere near as stormy as this is showing. Again, we look from the 10-metre winds. Look, it is very, very wild out there in the North Atlantic from the GM today. Finished by looking at the ECWF that has just come out. Again, you can see the easterly winds continue to push in over the coming days. Cold and unsettled as we head into early next week when the westerly winds do return. And again, it does go pretty unsettled. But look, the jet stream is slightly to our south. Yes, we do have a generally milder air mass in. If we look at the temperature deviation, it is only around 2 to 4 degrees above average by this point. But then we will see colder air masses move in at times. So again, a general average sort of outlook as we progress towards the end of next working week. But look out to our east, that cold block there hasn't gone anywhere. So as I said, even though it is looking mild at this stage into next week or average into next week, we could see that cold air come back at very short notice. And again, we have seen it numerous times before where milder air is moving back in. It either gets delayed or only moves in for a day or two before the cold air returns once again. Now, after you finish the video, I'll have a look at the latest ensembles. These are the latest GFS, again, very cold over the next week, lasting all the way to around the 5th or 6th of December. Then we see a rise and generally at average. Quite a few runs, average, still slightly above, and then you can see the 5 or 6 anomalous runs, including the operational run there, that go very cold indeed. We had a lot more of those runs yesterday, but it seems like they have disappeared a bit today. More unsettled and generally milder. You can see that sea level pressure dropping in the longer term, i.e. Atlantic low pressure systems. Dew points are rising as well. Again, nothing crazy high, so we're not seeing any major warm spell, anything too humid or mild, but generally average to slightly above average. And the 2-metre temperatures will probably be returning to the high single digits, maybe even towards 9 or 10 degrees as we head towards the 10th of December and beyond. As I said, though, that is not, written in stone yet. That is still in the longer range. Equally, if we were seeing a colder pattern in the longer range, yes, we would be talking about it, but we would also say that it is still very far away and still is subject to change. So that's the same here with this milder pattern. I don't, personally, again, this is not going from any specific data, I personally don't think the milder weather is going to last too long. I have seen indications that we are going to see colder weather return in December. There are better sort of climate drivers than we've got at the moment. as we head into the middle of December. So I do think there's a real possibility we do see cold weather through the middle to second half of December, perhaps even around the Christmas point. But I do think, yeah, real possibility we do see a bit of a milder patch here from around the 8th, 9th, 10th of December onwards. And just for fairness, if we compare to the Eastern WF run, the 12 o'clock run hasn't fully come out, so we'll have a look at the midnight run, and you can see very similar. Generally very cold over the next week, then we trend towards average, hovering around average, maybe slightly above average, and again there's maybe those 5 or 6 anomalous cold runs that are slowly disappearing, but again can't be fully discounted at this stage. So very cold next week is coming. Do make sure you wrap up warm, wear gloves, wear hats, and do have sort of the necessary time arrangements for dealing with ice, frost, and things like that. I do think the main impact for most people will be the cold temperatures. We're looking widely below -3, -4 degrees for sort of 3 or 4 consecutive nights in many areas. So it is going to be freezing cold, and of course there is the risk of snow. Snow showers initially over the next couple of days for those northern eastern areas, maybe some isolated showers elsewhere, and there is the risk into the weekend we could see some more persistent snow in places if we do see those disturbances. But of course, don't want to overhype that at this stage, as those are very uncertain. Have given relatively significant snow events in the past, like we saw in 2021, Jan 2021, and we've seen other sort of disturbances. For example, last December, where we saw that big snow in the far southeast. It was big, but it was pretty localised when it comes to the whole of the British Isles. Again, those sort of scenarios are possible, but again, we're not going to look at it in too much detail until we see more consistency from the models. So as I said, thanks for watching. Hope you have enjoyed. Make sure to wrap up warm over the next week or so, and I'll see you again for another video soon.